My field experience was at Fostoria Junior-Senior High School in Fostoria, Ohio. I was with Mrs. Griffin, who is a 7th through 10th grade algebra and geometry teacher. When I am at my field placement, she had one algebra class and one geometry class. The least amount of students she had in one of her classes was 7, and the most amount of students she had in her classes was 17. Fostoria, Ohio is an urban area, but at first glance you could mistake it for a rural school because when you first enter the city, you are surrounded by cornfields. Fostoria is made up of a few schools, and there is a very diverse population of people who live in Fostoria and attend Fostoria City Schools. Fostoria Junior-Senior High School has a lot of diversity among their students. There is a good mix of African Americans, Hispanic, and Caucasian students throughout the different classrooms. A lot of people know almost everyone in Fostoria because it is a small town and a small school district. The students are close to most of their teachers because they knew them outside of the classroom before they became one of their students. There is also a strict dress code at Fostoria. The students at Fostoria need to be dressed in dress pants, a shirt with a collar that is either black, red, or white, and their shirts need to be tucked in. They are also allowed to wear t-shirts on Fridays, but they have to be a Fostoria shirt in either red, black, or white, and they have to be tucked in. If their shirts are untucked, they will get written up. Most students tend to not follow these rules, and they have been written up on several occasions when I have been attending my placement. Some of the classes are bigger than others, depending on the number of students who have dropped out, and the number of students who have come in the middle of the year. The students within the classrooms show a good amount of values, backgrounds, and cultures. The classrooms are also decorated with informative posters and information for upcoming events the students need to be informed about. Mrs. Griffin also has the learning objectives for each lesson posted on her whiteboard, so her students can clearly see what her expectations are of them and what they should be able to accomplish at the end of each lesson. Her students were basically allowed to do what they wanted until the bell rang. They were able to be out of their seats and socialize with their classmates. The students also did not have assigned seats when I first started my placement, but halfway through the semester they were given assigned seats because she was tired of her students always misbehaving in her classroom. A few of her students refused to complete their notes and their tests, so they would just sit in class and not pay any attention. There were also some students that would sleep through instruction. She told them all the time that they should do their work, but they never listened to her. They do not care about their grades, and not many of the students are passing their general education classes. The students who are not passing the classes never complete their tests and do not turn in their homework. They will turn in pieces of the paper for their homework with their name written on it, but not any of the questions completed. Therefore, they are not learning the information, which also makes it difficult for them to be able to pass their quizzes and tests. It is also going to be hard for most of the students in each class to pass their Ohio Achievement Assessments. My major responsibilities in Mrs. Griffin's classroom were grading papers. A lot of her students would never turn in their papers on time, so she had a lot of late papers to grade. So she had me grade those papers and help her grade the students' missing assignments. My first week in the classroom was an eye-opening experience because I have been in an urban school before, but Fostoria was different from Toledo schools. The classes were smaller, which made it easier for Mrs. Griffin to give her students individual help on their assignments. Also, the teachers knew all about the students' home situations because Fostoria is a small city. They knew why a student who usually does not struggle is struggling if something is going on at home. The students also trust their teachers and being able to tell them why they were not at school or by telling their teachers what is going on at home. My first week in the classroom, Mrs. Griffin introduced me to her students. I could see that they were scared and timid and that they did not know what role I was going to be taking in the classroom. Mrs. Griffin had me sit next to her desk, so I was able to get to know her students as they came up to her desk and asked her questions about their homework, tests, or if they just wanted to chat with her. The students warmed up quickly to me and started asking me questions, so they were able to get to know me better. After a while, Mrs. Griffin allowed me to grade her students' homework and their quizzes. She always had a good amount of papers to grade because she allowed her students to turn late assignments, which meant they were always turning them in late and she was trying to catch up on her grading. She finally told her students that she was not accepting any more late work, so they all had to turn their assignments in on the day that they were due or she would not accept the assignment at all. She would also accept late assignments if the students were absent or if they had a good reason for the assignment to be late. Mrs. Griffin also filled me in on how they participate in Relay for Life. She has a group of students that participate in fundraisers to help raise money. Some of the fundraisers they do include selling t-shirts, candy bars, scarves, and hats. For the t-shirts, they do a pre-sale fundraiser where the students ask their friends and family members if they would like to buy shirts or hoodies. She also sells candy bars from her classroom, which is a big hit by her students. She has them in a lockbox, and her students will pay her $1 and they will receive a candy bar. They also sell candy bars at school functions, so that all sales are not coming from the students. Some of the money from the candy bar sales will also be donated to Relay for Life. The students also make hats that they sell to their fellow students to raise money for Relay for Life. The last fundraiser they do is they have an elderly lady make scarves that they can sell. They pay her a portion of the money they raise and the rest is donated to Relay for Life. Overall, I enjoyed my time at Fostoria and got to know a little more about the urban context. It was an eye-opening experience and helped me to gain insight on how an urban school is run. It was also a good experience that I will remember for when I become a teacher on how to handle late assignments. My placement has showed me that as a teacher, you need to get to know your students' home life, which will make you to better understand why they act the way they do in school and why or why not they are completing their assignments. After being in an urban school for a whole year, I was able to see how urban schools operate and get used to being in an urban setting. It would not bother me to be in an urban classroom when I get my degree, but it will definitely be an eye-opening experience. I am looking forward for my other placements to come in the future and to see what teaching holds for me.